Admittedly, most folks in the cryptocurrency sector adopt a longer-term fundamental approach. However, the distinctive dynamics of the blockchain markets offer a viable platform for trading. And here with us today to talk about this subject is Craig Cobb, an investment market expert. Mr. Cobb runs the website tradercobb.com, where he has taught over 10,000 students valuable skills in finding opportunities and securing profits. And while the massive Bitcoin price targets attract eyeballs, Mr. Cobb offers practical guidance. Trade the volatility in the here and now. After all, it's the volatility that drives the trading synergies that eventually lead to profits, whether short-term or long-term. We've detailed a list of actionable ideas to help you get started at crushthestreet.com/crypto. With Bitcoin and other virtual currencies regaining their mojo, now's a great time to learn proven trading tactics. Once again, please go to crushthestreet.com/crypto. So without further ado, here's Craig Cobb.
Hello, everyone, and welcome into crushthestreet.com. I'm Kenneth Amaduri, and I'm joined today with a very special first-time guest here, Trader Cobb, Craig Cobb, somebody who has been trading for years. He's an expert when it comes to trading, and he found a real niche when it came to crypto. He's become very passionate about it. He's got a podcast, a YouTube channel, a website. If you want information on learning how to trade and learning how to trade crypto successfully, I highly recommend you check out his website. But without any further ado, Trader Cobb, thanks for coming on Crush the Street with me today.
Mate, that was a very impressive introduction. I commend you on your skills there, and thank you very much for having me.
Well, let's start the conversation here and see where it goes. What got you into crypto, and why focus on crypto when it comes to trading? I mean, you traded, other markets for years, and you found crypto and said, "Hey, this is great." Why crypto?
Yeah, it's a damn good question, mate. Look, at the end of the day, I mean, you're right. I'm in 13 years of trading now. When I came to crypto, it was 11 or so, right? I've pretty much, in July, I'll have my 2-year anniversary with this market. It's been it hasn't been a love-hate relationship for me. It's been all love. I've enjoyed every second of it. But the reason why, mate, is because it's so volatile. As a trader, I want movement. That's why I trade foreign exchange a lot. Bonds, stocks, commodities, these are products that move, that they've got, well, not so much bonds, but, these are markets that do move. Okay. They move really, really well. Now, I got introduced to Bitcoin when I was in London. I had a little fund in London. I spent 6 years in London learning to trade from a lot of the people that I'm very thankful to have effectively given me the talent that I have today. It wasn't overnight. I wasn't born to trade. I put a lot of work in, just like anyone else will have to do. I was introduced in 2013. And at that stage, I bought about 10 million. No, I'm joking. I kicked it to the curb. I went, no, there's no charts. There's no volume. It's hard enough to work out how to buy the thing, let alone what this thing actually is. I wasn't a tech entrepreneur then. I wasn't a tech investor. I was strictly a trader. That's all I did. So I had none of the characteristics of what I needed. Fast forward to it was June of 2017. I had a mentor of mine give me a call and say, "Cobby, you have got to check out this crypto thing." And I'm like, "Oh, come on, mate. Right person, right time." I had to listen, had to look, went in and went, wow. Saw my strategies working really well, started investing my own capital into the market. And then a month but it was a bit under, I think it was about 6 weeks of watching the market, as I always do before I enter a new market. I got involved, and what a ride. What a ride. So it's a killer market. I love it.
So, Craig, a lot of people who came across Bitcoin, crypto, it's an end of Fed, it's libertarian, it's freedom-minded, it's sound money, it's afraid of dollars, it's freedom, autonomy, all these things that are associated with what Bitcoin is, how it got started. That really wasn't where your angle was when it came to crypto, right? Nope. Or is there anything about that you lean towards, or is it just about the movements in this space?
Yeah, it's a good question, man. Look, I love the idea. I love the idea of it. Do I think Bitcoin will take over the world and be the sole currency? Bloody hope so. Do I think it will? Maybe not in my lifetime. I think something replicating Bitcoin, or I think Bitcoin can share. You know, the view of crypto will take over the world and we'll be a self-governing nations all over the place, and we don't need banks, we don't need governments. Look, I don't subscribe to that theory at all. I mean, have you ever seen people try and run out of a rock concert because something happened? I mean, we're worse than ants. At least ants get organized. We are every man for himself, everywhere, all over the place. We do need a little bit of structure. But I love the fact that it does give people the opportunity to make choices. That's what I think, from my point of view. Look, honestly, I'll trade your mother's curtains if there's enough volume. Okay? I don't care what I trade. I don't care the product. I don't care when I trade gold. I don't care when I trade bonds. I don't care if I'm long euro yen about the yen failing, and I just don't care. It's not my job to care about that sort of stuff. And that makes me seem like a really shallow person. That's not the case at all. I care deeply about the things that I care deeply about. But I can't have emotions when I'm trading a market. Okay. You've got to take that emotion out. Otherwise you start having bias. Now, the technology, blockchain technology, however you want to define blockchain technology, I think it's a fantastic new discovery. I think that the crypto asset space is wonderful, but I'm here for the volatility.
So that kind of lends itself to one of the things we were talking about prior to this interview here. I told you as we were waiting for our scheduled time, I was watching Tone Vays versus Roger Ver talk about Bitcoin versus Bitcoin Cash. I asked you, what are your thoughts on this? And you were like, it's childish to be looking into this. So maybe touch on that. Do you have a bias towards either one? Is there, after being in the space for a certain amount of time, do you think one will hold out longer than the other? If you were to put your money into one or the other as a safe haven, do you lean one way or another? Or, let's flush through that if we can for a minute or two.
Yeah, look, first things first, two men in their early 40s fighting over something I think is ridiculous at the best of times. I don't see any point in it. I think a lot of people, and look, don't get me wrong, I've got no issue with Roger Ver. I've spent time with Tone Vays. Like, I like the guy. He's a good human. He's a really nice bloke. But he's also a bit antagonistic. He likes to have that little battle. Whereas for me, I'm not interested in battling anybody. I don't want to have that sort of stuff. Now, I don't know if it's because it's good for clicks, good for views, good for followers, or if it's just part of his nature. I'm not sure. But I just don't see the point in it. Now, when you ask me about the technology, Bitcoin Cash or Bitcoin, which would I choose? For me, I'm going to choose Bitcoin. And it's not because I'm the guy who knows the tech. So I just want to caveat my response with that. I'm not somebody who can tell you why Bitcoin over Bitcoin Cash. I just feel much more familiar. I see the market capitalization. I see the volatility. I see the interest. I see the media. And for the time being, I think Bitcoin will win. Now, here's what I do across both of these. Until BSV came out, okay, which was another absolute waste of people's attention. Great marketing for BSV because it got listed everywhere, right? So it was either absolute brilliance or just a big storm in a teacup. But what I would do is Bitcoin Cash is the ultimate, from my position, hedge against the market, against Bitcoin especially. So it used to be before BSV came out that you could, if Bitcoin was up 1%, Bitcoin Cash might be up 3%. If Bitcoin was down 1%, Bitcoin Cash was down 3%. So if I was given two opportunities to short the market, one was Bitcoin, one was Bitcoin Cash, I'm taking Bitcoin Cash because it had that additional volatility on top of already a very volatile market. That's what I found with it. So Bitcoin Cash is my shorting hedge play. Bitcoin is just Bitcoin to me.
Wow. So what are your thoughts on hodling? Do you trade and you have your income and then save in crypto or dollars or gold or silver or buy the S&P 500? I mean, how does your overall strategy work from an income perspective and then a savings perspective? And is crypto part of your savings perspective?
Yes, it's another great question, mate. You've done this before. Well done. Look, from my point of view, yeah, I do invest. I do hodl, I should say, and they're sitting on a tree as well. Now, for me, risk comes in many different forms, and as a trader, I can tell you there's one statement that wraps up trading 100%, and that is trading is risk management. That's it. There is nothing more important for a trader than managing your risk. So for me, I sit the wedge on my Trezor wallet, which is tucked away in a place not in my office. And I have another one that is in my office, which has very little on there. And that's because I want to be able to move it onto exchanges if I need to take a bigger trade, or if I've used a fair bit of my margin, I'll top it up. So yes, the answer is I do hodl a certain number of projects. I am a damn better trader than I am a hodler. And I think, you've got to work to your strengths. So I don't go and research projects in depth. That's not my play. I got into Binance earlier this year at $6.60. Now I thought that it seemed like a good company, seemed like it had good revenue as far as, I knew that there was a lot going on. They've been verified for their volume. So then naturally they had a way of making margin. I thought that seemed like a good project. Now I didn't buy Binance until I got a trade. Now, I bought it at $6.30, I think it was to start off with. I got a couple of trades on the way up, and I exited around that $28 mark. Now, I know it's higher, but I built my Bitcoin stack by about 180% or whatever it was. Now, that was good. That was not, though, basing my thinking, because I got a thing on the wall right there that says, trade what you see, not what you think. I don't let myself think. So trading's where I do it. I know most of my investments are within a smattering of the top 10, heavily Bitcoin.
So that kind of leads to another question that we touched on in this pre-interview 2-minute chat we had.
Yeah.
Would you trade something, or do you have to feel like there's a bias towards the upside to want to trade something? Or for all you care, can it be a scam? It doesn't matter because you're just trading something based on the volume, based on volatility and movement. Maybe just respond to that.
Yeah, look, I mean, morally, if I knew something was a scam, I think that would probably be the only time for which I would probably have a little emotional battle with myself, because if a great trade sets up, then I should, if I was just to be straight down the line, I should go, I don't care what this is, I will take this trade. But I do have very strong morals, and they've become even stronger in this space because I think there's a lot of idiots in this space. I think there are a lot of bad apples, like in any space, but the start of a new market, it's always worse. I've seen it before. It'll happen again down the track as well. So for me, I prefer not to be trading those scam coins if I know people are actually going to get hurt by that. So that's my genuine answer as Craig Cobb, the human being. As a trader, I couldn't give a shit. Okay. As a trader, I do not care. It's a market. It moves. I wait for my trading strategies. I follow my checklist-based system, and that is it. I could not care less. And don't forget the bias for long. I follow trends. So, it's not a bias as such. It's a representation of factual information in front of my eyeballs that I've learned how to read. And that's what I focus on, teaching other people how to do that, so that there isn't that bias. You can also short the market. Don't forget that. You can make money when the market falls on certain projects as well. So that's why 2018 wasn't so bad for us. I caught the shorts. I caught both of the big falls from early on. So we had a pretty fair, Bitcoin at 7,600 with the $120 stop loss. I mean, that was a big move. We did very well out of that. So we've had some absolute bull terrors short. People just don't know they don't really understand how to use it, and that it's there and that it's available, and they're scared of leverage and margin. It's just because they don't know what to do.
Sure. So what are your thoughts in general? And maybe this is not something that you look at in terms of like a longer term approach, but what are your thoughts on the overall equity markets being 10 years deep into this bull market? Do you feel like things are getting toppy? And is this an opportunity, more from a fundamental perspective, to start to see funds go into safe haven type projects like Bitcoin and precious metals if we do see a major reversal in the stock market?
Yeah, I don't know if I'd call Bitcoin what did you say? A safe haven. I don't think I'd call it that yet. I think it's an option. I don't think the rest of the world's seeing it as a safe haven yet. But look, traditional markets, mate. I mean, I've been, saying this before I got into crypto, that I really can see things going really, really south. So yeah, I've been wrong for a long time. For a good couple of years now, I've been wrong on that. I didn't say when I thought it would fall, because I typically don't do that. I just follow trends. So I don't pick tops and I don't pick bottoms. I don't need to pretend I wear a cape on my back and fly around in underpants on the outside and save people from, bad people. I focus on what I do. So I don't try and pick tops and bottoms. I trade the chunk in the middle. But I think what was really fascinating was when you had a new president come in the US, and that president happened to be the president that you have currently, and the market responded very well to that. There was a bit of a surprise around that. I know my market very, very well in Australia, and I can see the measures they're taking to try and keep some certain areas of massive significance in our economic structure as a country. And I don't think it's going to play out too well. A 10-year bull market this will be the longest we've ever had in the modern world. The last longest I think was before. I think we went 8 years or 9 years before the dot-com bust of 2000. We know what happened there. We saw, I think, 7 or 8 years from 7 or 8 years from 2000 back to the GFC. Now we're 10 years in. This is it used to be a 7-year cycle. It's extending, which is, I guess, governments are doing the right thing, or monetary policy is being better, or it's getting worse. And therefore, the next time it happens, they're going to, increasingly become worse and worse. And again, this is why I think crypto is a really good option, because it is an option.
Okay, Craig, I want to circle back to something. You mentioned it, and then my mind forgot it, and I've been trying to scramble for my question.
Yeah, I've done that before.
This whole time. So you
Well
said
done for
there's a
bringing it
lot
back.
of, you said there's a lot of, I guess, uneducated, stupid people kind of in the community. But what about for the fact that money, capital attracts talent? Would you say that there's a lot of talent that's being attracted to the Bitcoin space or the crypto space to contribute this code, and because of the money? And I'll qualify that with this. In January of 2018, I went to the North American Bitcoin Conference in Miami, and that was when everyone bought their tickets in December and at $20,000 Bitcoin, right? It was $10,000 at the conference. So, I mean, there was every project, every pitch. I mean, it was the largest conference that had ever been done up until then. And it seemed like there was a lot of smart people there chasing dollars and cents, right? There was money to be made, money to be raised. People were trying to pitch ideas for that. What are your thoughts on the idea that capital attracts talent?
Absolutely. I mean, it does. It's, Silicon Valley's had a massive brain drain, and they'd never seen, the amount of talent that has gone from Silicon Valley into crypto is akin to what happened in the dot-com boom. And when you sort of said before that there's a lot of silly people, unqualified, uneducated people in this space. That's not necessarily a bad thing. Okay, that's not necessarily a bad thing. People that are in there. Okay, let me paint a picture of somebody who I think can be troubling for the space, or for people like me who are out there building businesses and doing that sort of thing. Somebody who, let's say, got into Bitcoin back in 09, 10, 11, 12, 13, something like that. They got a fair bit of it, or they don't, right? And now they're basically calling everything under the sun a scam. They think that everything about education is unworthy. Nobody knows what's going on because they were there first, so therefore they're sticks in the sand, so that makes them better than everybody else. And they don't have any interest in education because they bought their Bitcoin like they did nothing with it when they were 18. Now they're 25 and they're 30, whatever it is, we're 10 years old. They were 18, now they're 28 and they're worth $180 million. Of course they don't put any value into education because they didn't have to have one. They got lucky. And I'm all for people getting lucky. And look, and that was a big number, other people in different places, or there's people that claim a lot of things that, I don't know. I just find it difficult as somebody who's had to spend such a long time learning about my art form, which is to trade, having to listen to some of these people that really don't respect, I guess, that, to build something, it takes time. And I think that's what crypto forgets. A lot of people are trying to, especially during that 2017 run, everyone's pandering to the investor, trying to pump. But great businesses aren't built in 2 weeks. You know what I mean? It takes time for this to happen. Now, these massive brains that are in the space, I mean, I get to interview on my podcast, the Trader Cobb Crypto Show. I've interviewed Joe Leben. I've interviewed many billionaires. I got to speak with Kavita Gupta, I mean, head of IBM's blockchain research. I've spent a lot of time traveling, speaking to people and interviewing people. And I can tell you, none of these massive brains, the genius type people, they don't give two hoots about price. They couldn't care less. They're building, they're working, they're building the whole space. So yes, the brains are there. No, they're not the ones on Twitter, because they're the ones locked away working their asses off building something real.
That's powerful. And that's something that I've tried to wrap my mind around quite a bit. But I would have to acknowledge that without price, we wouldn't have the growth in the space, that we've seen, right? The price is very important to what we're seeing, why we're having this conversation today, arguably, right?
Yep.
Why it's been added to a lot of the CNBC, you can, see crypto prices now, right? I mean, if it wasn't for a $6,000 Bitcoin price, $7,000, we wouldn't have this mainstream talking about it, right?
Correct.
Even with all the smart people.
I wouldn't be here either.
Right.
I get it. I mean, look, I've got no issue with price. I want price. That's what I'm here for. Like, that's me. I'm not one of the brains. I'm just a trader in this space trying to build a couple of bits and pieces of business myself, educating others and focusing on what my strong points are. I'm not claiming to be one of these brains that are locked away in the rooms working their butts off. I'm working my butt off, but I am not one of those caliber of people. So yeah, me, mate, I need the price. I want this thing to move like a mad dog, because it gives me opportunity to really make good money, because I make my money off the price. So different people in different places.
Sure. All right. TraderCobb.com. Craig, tell us about TraderCobb.com.
Mate, it's pretty straightforward. I mean, we teach people to trade. Realistically, I focus on 3 strategies. That's it. There's nothing more, and there will not be more. I've traded these 3 strategies out of my 13 years of trading. I have not changed them for 9 years.
Wow.
All right. So 9 years, I have not changed a single thing. They're trend following strategies based on the market moving in 3 ways. It consolidates and breaks, either up or down. It moves and trends and pulls back into the cradle zone, which is where I trade from a lot. Then it goes again. Or when it's moving fast, it goes bounce. So that's the way that I trade. 3 different trading strategies with written checklists. So they're really simple to follow. It's very, very straightforward stuff, mate. And there's a heap of free stuff. So yeah, if anyone wants to go and check out the free courses, the free newsletter, like, we do so much more free stuff than we do paid. Go and check it out, tradercobb.com/free tools, where you get those free courses and webinars. But look, if it doesn't float your boat, don't get involved. If you want to learn to trade, then do.
Trader Cobb, Craig, thanks for taking the time. I appreciate you coming on Crush the Street with me today.
Mate, I've enjoyed it. Thanks very much for the opportunity.